We lived in the Bronx, which is essentially a nice, peaceful, attractive place to be for me as a little boy. Lived close to the park, lived across the street from the school, up until the 40s. The war froze everything, and my father had planned to move down here, seeing how the other part of the family was doing well. So it really was for economic improvement and to join our family. We just played and enjoyed ourselves and listened to a lot of radio. It really was a continuation of a different idyll, but it was idyllic nonetheless. I was 16 when I graduated, and I continued another version of Highland Park, which was SMU. Service, I was commissioned in 1956, and then in '64, they greeted me into going on active duty for 2 years.
I was writing a paper while I was in the military in Philadelphia, and there was a crate on the floor of the library. And it was partially pried open, so I pried the rest of it open just out of curiosity. And what it was the complete Nuremberg trials. So I just reached in and picked up a volume and began to read, and I realized this is more horrific than I even thought, worse than I ever thought. When I left the military, I went to the acting head, and I told him in my adult life I've never stolen anything, and very little in my youth, but I do have volume 1 of the Nuremberg trials. And he said, "You keep it, because you'll do something good with it." So I realized that this was the only program I heard of, and that this had the potential of doing something. I met Georgine. She was a very good teacher. This is the early 1990s, and the overall knowledge of the Holocaust had become somewhat polluted and co-opted by Hollywood. But the way Georgine taught it was really truthfully what happened. So I thought somebody who really knew something about it ought to be supported both financially and with some structural help, which I could do. And so I became more involved. And in those years, it was very difficult. I was raising $25 at a time, step by step, able to raise some money and get some presence, have good speakers, attract more students, and even have geographical space. And that's how it took off. The program has increased its importance and its viability, and also its effectiveness. You know, I've been on lots and lots of boards, both philanthropic and business, but this to me is in an odd way more real. Being on a board where one widget more makes a little more profit doesn't interest me. This is something that comes closer to my heart because it's a value not just to Jews, not just to people who survived the Holocaust, but to everyone. My favorite thing is that it's here. My favorite thing also is that there's some very nice people here that I've had the pleasure of working with, administrative people, professorial people, supporters, some of the graduate students, and that's my favorite thing.